Science is telling us what we need to do. In science, it is telling us, yes, our young people are getting sick.
Welcome again to Conversas de Jardim in the Ageas garden, which is so rich of colors, noises, butterflies. And today I have the honor, really the honor, to introduce you Carmo Fonseca. And you know, I have to confess you that I went through her CV, and I will not repeat it because we're discovering each other together. But I feel so small sitting next to her, so I can tell you what a pleasure it is to sit next to a person who is changing the world and who is actually really changing also Portugal. Welcome.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
No, it's a pleasure.
An honor and a pleasure.
And before we start, I will give you our socks.
Uh-huh.
And I always start asking, what do the socks mean to you?
Just a very practical component.
Is that the scientific person talking now? Or, just...
I think I am the scientific person. The science
Yes.
is part of me. So, are you wearing one of those?
No, I'm always wearing, every day I wear different colors.
Yeah, different colors, I see.
Tell me, I mean, you when I read your CV, I was saying, wow, how rich is Portugal to have such a person in the country. You went to all places. You had high responsibilities, and still today, you were creative, innovative in establishing institutes. What drives you?
What drives me is this immense pleasure in accomplishing. You know, I get very bored if I have nothing to do. So I'm constantly looking around, and I identify things that could be better.
You don't like routine?
I like to be surprised. I like every day to get up and be surprised by something that I was not expecting.
Let me make you a kind of very pessimistic picture.
Yes.
Okay, I know that science is progressing, technology is progressing,
Yes.
AI is progressing, and then I look to the Portuguese society, and I'm saying, oh my God, I see that all the young people are eating processed food, which is the basis of a tremendous increase in diseases.
Yes, it's true. It's true.
I look at the society, which is getting older. I think in a couple of years, Portugal will be the oldest society of Europe, with 36% of the people having diabetes or predestination for diabetes.
Yeah.
Colorectal cancer, which kills every day in Portugal between 10 and 20 people every day. And so on the one hand, I see the science moving up and forward, but at the same time, I see that people are getting more and more sick.
Yes, yes. So I totally agree that science and technology are developing, and in fact, this is part of human nature. We are curious. We are extremely curious. And so science and technology will never stop to develop. But we are facing a period of extreme accelerated developments. When we look back in our generation, it took longer to make discoveries. And now discoveries can be much faster. And technology
Moore's law.
And now technology is evolving also at a faster pace. So I don't see any limits to science and technology. This does not mean that we can completely change the world. We try. We are constantly getting one step ahead, but the world still dominates us, and we can just make small changes. Yet, science is telling us what we need to do. In science, it is telling us, yes, our young people are getting sick, but we know what we need to do. So what I foresee in the future is that society as a whole and insurance companies are already starting to play a role. to educate, to be paternalistic. We cannot tell other people what they should do, but
we should inform them.
We should try to create incentives, initiatives that people like to follow. Society informed by science will progressively react. Because what I see when I look backwards to human evolution is that we always adapt and we always overcome the problems that we are facing. So for many years, humankind faced the problem of not having enough food. Now we are facing the problem of having too much food and the wrong food.
Yep.
So the same way we have turned this around, I'm sure we will be able to turn. In the meantime, many people will get sick, many people will suffer with disease.
When I went to visit Singularity University in the US, and I just want to hear your reaction as a scientist, many on the stage were saying, we believe that based on genomics, based on 3D printing of organs, based on the rejuvenation cocktail, we believe that children born around 2050 will become immortal.
I know. I'm very aware of those statements. These are overstatements, clearly. They
but
are
overstatements, let's put it in overstatements of 2050 or 2100 or 2150.
They are still overstatements today.
Yes. But you're not excluding.
I'm not excluding, but I think we are far away from understanding enough the aging process to turn people into immortal beings, because very probably we have an ingrained lifespan. This does not mean that we may extend the period of life that we live healthy and happy and active. And this is where we are moving.
Yeah.
And we are getting closer and closer to that. In 100 years, is much more people living up
longer.
to the 115,
yeah.
but not living longer. That's what happens so far. We have, because we are not gaining years, we are avoiding the causes of death.
Yeah.
We are avoiding infectious diseases, we are treating cancer, and so people can reach that limit. But we have not extended the limit.
Yeah.
So what many people are now investing a lot is in slowing down the aging process. But slowing down does not mean reverting.
Yeah.
So I believe that in the next tens of years, we will have more people, in fact, aging slower, meaning that we can live actively for a longer period. But we are still missing that component, that the answer to this question is lifespan limited. There is a limit that cannot be overturned. This we don't know. This is a big question mark. I would say that the big questions in science today relate to the aging process, to this limit of life, and also to understand how the brain works. What is conscious? What is the scientific basis for conscience? We are very far away from understanding that.
I can imagine that there are also ethical limits to all of that.
Yes.
And if I'm well informed, to the fact that in China they were able for, I think, a couple of girls, baby girls, to take away the part of the genes that could eventually lead to HIV, which they took out of the chromosomes. I'm not a specialist on this thing, but they took it out, so those girls can never be infected by HIV.
That was the goal,
I mean, is that, on the one hand, you could say, this is great. I mean, you avoid people to get sick. You should be able to do that. On the other hand, we're saying in Europe, ooh, this is not possible because where will it end?
Yeah.
So where is this ethical distinction of saying, I will prevent the people having, and that's one of your specialities, getting cancer?
Yeah.
Or saying, I'm sorry, we're too ethical. They can all have cancer. We'll try to work on the chemio or on the way to cure,
Yeah.
but not on the origin.
Yeah. So it all comes, first of all, ethics is our decision as a society. It's nobody else telling us but us. So, and ethical boundaries are dynamic. In the,
What was accepted before is not anymore.
Or the other way around.
Yes.
So, and sometimes it shifts over the years.
In Nazi Germany, things were acceptable, which today they're not.
Exactly. So ethics is made by us and by our society and our culture. So it can change. It can change. From a scientific point of view, there is this balance between what will be the health gain, what are the risks, and this needs to be weighted for the decision.
Okay.
The reason why scientists oppose this type of manipulation in embryos is because the risks outnumber the benefit so far. Once the technology becomes completely safe, then it's up to the society to decide what is acceptable.
How, I mean, mostly this is research. I can imagine a human brain is limited, very, very limited in capturing all the knowledge. How will now this new generative AI impact your research? Because
it's a tool.
It's a tool.
It's a tool.
I know it's a tool.
And it accelerates.
That's what I was going to say.
Yes, so it's already accelerating.
How is it now impacting your research? Because it will accelerate tremendously the research.
It is accelerating because with AI, we can now obtain structures of proteins that without this tool, it was taking years. But what AI is doing is based on all the protein structures that people have accumulated over the years, it can predict patterns and tell us what is most likely the structure of a protein that has not yet been defined with the previous technology. But why is this important? Because proteins are at the basis of all diseases. So if we know the structure of something that is causing a disease, now we can design an inhibitor, a treatment.
Which probably would take years to find one.
And now we just ask the AI, and they show us in a screen the structure of the disease molecule and the structure of what can be the treatment. And what we are also doing is we are creating artificial synthetic molecules. We no longer rely on real cells to make their natural products. We can force the cells to make something that does not occur in nature. And AI told us, make this protein with this shape. And now we take that information, we force a cell to produce that protein, and we have a new drug. AI will for sure increase the pace at which new molecules are available. And we have already observed during the past 20 years a tremendous increase.
My question was future looking, eh?
Future looking, we will have much more medicines. So we will be able to treat much better cancer and prolong the life of people.
Yeah. What would be for you like the 3 giveaways or main topics saying, guys, this is really what you have to do to avoid cancer? I know it's not, I mean, we have pollution, we have a lot of things we cannot manage. But where you would say, with all your experience, to everybody listening, this is what you should.
Yeah. So this is very well established. And what I want to say is, yes, the environment. If we smoke, if we are exposed to UV light from the sun, what we eat, all of these can cause cancer. But even if we are totally protected, we will still have cancer, because cancer is part of the nature of
The
our
molecules.
cells, of our molecules. Molecules are very dynamic, and the basis, the cause of cancer are changes in the DNA molecule, the molecules that make up our genes.
Yeah.
And these molecules are dynamic. They are not completely static. They are not always the same. And every time a cell divides, and the cells in our body need to divide, continuously divide,
They make mistakes.
They make mistakes. And mistakes can lead to cancer. Taking all the environmental factors aside, it's pure luck if you or I will get
the
cancer.
amount, I mean, I would kind of, listening to you, I would have kind of deduct that luck is diminishing in society.
Why?
Because more and more people have cancer or detect cancer.
Okay.
The detection is maybe also increased a lot.
But then these people are not 100% protected from the environment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if we remove the effect of the environment, our chances of getting cancer are the same, but increase as we get older, because the more years, the more divisions, the more errors.
That's not what I'm. Yes.
That in principle is not changing. If there are now any changes, they are probably coming from the environment. And what we see is younger people being diagnosed with cancer. There are two reasons. One is that we have better tools, better equipment to diagnose. So we diagnose earlier. But there is also the effect of the environment. The bad food, the bad habits are definitely increasing the chances of getting cancer.
We have to learn people to cook again healthily.
Absolutely.
Let's go back. When you were very young, what made you choose to be a scientist?
I had no idea what a scientist was when I was young. So I was just passionate about nature. I remember myself observing and trying to follow ants and insects and plants, looking at the differences between the different the shapes of the leaves of plants. And then in school, when I started to learn about the movements of the geographical plates in Earth, I found that fascinating. When I started to know about cells and genetics, I found it super fascinating. So when I entered university, I just wanted to learn more.
And what are your hobbies? I mean, probably you will say, when I have time, I go back to nature.
Yes, I do. I go back to nature, but I like to be active. As I said, I get bored if nothing happens. So I like very much to go back to nature, and the soft way of going back to nature is gardening. I spend many hours gardening and thinking about
releasing everything which.
And I love to go back to nature doing exercise. So throughout my life, I've done lots of sports in nature, and now I swim. I swim in the sea and in the lakes.
Let's go to, you are 127 years old and 4 months, and you're laying in bed, close to your last breath. And you look to the ceiling above you and you say, I'm happy. I achieved what I wanted. What would that be for you?
I think how I am impacting other people, not only because so far I've described myself in a very selfish way. It's like I do what gives me pleasure, but I think it's also very important, and I try to pay attention to this, that I'm not just an individual that tries to be happy, but also I am an individual that is changing the society and the reality around me. I feel very privileged because I am a professor at the university. And every year I teach first-year medical students who are an absolutely amazing example of the young generation of this country.
You have an amazing profession to transmit that passion that I see that you have to students.
It's all about making experiments. So this means that the students must go to the lab too. It's not only sitting in an auditorium and listening to the professor talking.
I'd like to thank you.
Thank you.
It was really a pleasure to talk with you about so many topics.
Likewise.
And about science and everything, because in the end the future of saving the world will depend a lot of science. Eh?
Oh, absolutely. We have created this mess with technology. Now we have to clean it up.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.